In the last episode of Pixar's Adventure Park, we added some flat rides and decorations to the upland. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pixar's Adventure Park, episode 17. In this episode, we're trying to finish off this up area behind me here. So far, it's looking pretty good. We have all the rides in place. We have the main e-ticket attraction here, which is just like a soaring. But there is still some things we need to add, so let's go over what we should do this episode. Now, the first thing I think I'm probably going to do in this episode is the background here. We're going to try and make Paradise Falls, which is that iconic scenery that you can see, well, throughout the movie, of course. Then once we've done that, we're going to need to get some ride names and some ride signs for the two rides here, and of course, the main ride here. And then finally after that, we're just going to finish off decorating the land, making it look really nice, making it look pretty. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get straight into it. Okay, first of all, we're going to want to build the, of course, like iconic scenery in the background here. So let's quickly get started with that by shaping out a basic sort of shape of what it's going to look like. Okay, so for this, we're of course going to need to start in this little corner here. I'm just going to quickly get rid of this tree, and we're going to have this terrain sort of connect to the Paradise Falls terrain up here. It's going to be pretty difficult to do, but if we can do it well, it's going to merge the two sort of terrain things into one, and it's just going to be so seamless and so good look. So before we do that, let's just quickly get like a sort of size that we would want to do. So we'll just make this as big as we can. Now I'm thinking something that sort of size should do well, and we're just gonna quickly copy this over to here. And then of course, if you know what Paradise Falls looks like, it has this like little peak over here as well, and this one of course isn't as tall, so that's kind of the idea we're trying to do. Okay, this might look really cool, it might not, so let's see if we can cook up at all. The first thing we're going to do is just do the first pillar on the very side here, and at the bottom of the image that I'm looking at, you can see that they kind of have like grass at the bottom, so let's just quickly do that. So first thing we're going to do is just make this little grass piece here. It doesn't need to be too detailed at all because it's not going to be seen very much at all. Actually, what we could do for these is just use these trees. Just grab the biggest one we got. Boom. Oh, and I'm stuck. Boom. That will work perfectly well. Now we're gonna go with the same sort of theme as the land because we've made like these sort of like little rocks everywhere. They just look like this, so I think we're gonna grab the same shape. So we're gonna copy it all the way over to here, make it as big as we can, and we can just start going up. Okay, so now the details we're gonna need to try and get is that the bottom is a lot wider, and then of course it gets skinnier. And honestly, I think I've made this way too big, so I'm just gonna grab it all, make it a lot smaller. There we go. We're gonna copy this all the way up to around about something around about that height. Looks really good. And then just on the top here, it slowly starts to get bigger again, so we're just gonna make a bigger chunk. Also just rotate this a bit. I'm gonna just play around with the shapes and sizes a little bit, have it get like thinner slowly, and then we can have it get wider again as well. That, from a distance, honestly looks pretty nice. The next thing I want to do is we're just going to rotate some of these pillars just because it's going to make it look more random and like naturally spawned in, which is kind of the whole idea of this rock. It's just like kind of random. It's nothing like particular. So a simple little detail like that just makes it look a little bit better. Okay, I got some high hopes now. This is looking promising. With that done, we now need to make the rest of the mountain, which is the mountain that of course has that waterfall. Now this mountain is slightly taller and thicker, so we'll quickly just make that. When I say thicker, I mean like this mountain is pretty thick. I mean, whoa, what did I just say? That's crazy. And just based off the size constraints, I think I'm just gonna grab all of this and move it all the way to the side there. Okay, yeah, that will work, that will work. We will then of course copy this, and we're gonna put this over there. We can now move this back into place. Actually, this whole thing needs to go, it needs to be really close to the rest of this. It's gotta pretty much be touching. Now near the top here, we're just gonna have this get wider again, just a little bit, nothing too crazy. Now this is meant to be taller than the other one, so we can quickly fix that. And just about that. Okay. Now this is looking kind of funky, I will not lie. But you gotta trust the process here. That's the whole point. Now, I don't know if this is gonna use too many parts, but what I'm gonna try and do is just like copy it like that, have it go down a little bit, and just do the same and have it like kind of go down like that. Okay. Now it looks really goofy, I will admit that, but I'm not finished. let me cook. I'm just going to quickly fill in that ground like that. Okay, it's looking fine. We just got to fill in these gaps now. That's all we really got to do. So we'll just grab a basic primitive like this one. Make it like that same size. And then we're just going to paint this that same rock color. There we go. And that should just work perfectly like that. That looks pretty good. It does look like kind of strange, but you know what? We'll finish it, see how it looks, and then we can make a final decision. So for this next part, I'm just going to be able to copy this over. And then we'll do the same one last time on the very end here. Oh, okay. I'll be honest. It looks pretty good. I think it looks nice. It's the desired like effect that I'm wanting. It is very simple right now. It does just look like a big block, but it looks like the shape that Paradise Falls is meant to be. So we can try and fix that up now. And the first thing I want to do with fixing that up is just the colors. I want to make it more like what it looks like in the concept. It's almost like a brownish sort of gray. So if I do something like that, and then once it gets closer to the top, we'll go darker a little bit, and then we can go a little bit darker once again. Then we'll make it very brown and dark as this last one. Now that looks like a really nice gradient, I will admit. We'll also just do the same sort of gradient for the other little rock here, which will be very easy to do. Okay. And then we can also take these, put it over here, and then we're just gonna have it slowly start coming down. Because we want it to blend in, like I said before, with like the surrounding terrain. So that's gonna be pretty difficult to do. Gonna be a pretty big eyesore here, but I think we can figure it out. So let's see if I can cook up very quickly. One of the most difficult parts about building a park like this is the different lands, and trying to have them match in well is like, it is a bit of a challenge, I will admit. But so far, I think we have a pretty good track record with keeping each land like its separate little area. So we'll continue to try and do that. Okay, so now what we need to do is make a gradient. So we're going to start it here. And we're going to have this slowly just get darker and darker gray. We just slowly wanted to get into that same color scheme that these rocks are made of. And honestly, that's already pretty decent. So yeah, I think that honestly will work pretty nicely. It like blends pretty well. It does just look like big rock work going into rock work. I don't even know what to say at this point, but I think it's working just as it's intended. Now, I'm not going to do too much details down here because this is going to be pretty hidden, because I'm going to put some trees in the way here to kind of like above the tree line, I guess you would say. So yeah. But before we do that, we have a little waterfall we need to put in place. So we're just going to grab a basic water emitter. And how close do we need to build this? Okay. And then we're just going to play around with the like emitter power and stuff. And then I'm just going to place a bunch more, I think, just to get that nice like water effect. We're slowly getting there, but I do want this just to be stronger. Honestly, I think that will work nicely. So now what I want to do is we're just going to get a smoke machine, and then we're going to have it white. There we go. That's looking pretty nice. Okay, now that we got that done, we can get this tree situation sorted out. So let's quickly just get like a little base of trees. We don't want these trees to be too big, but we also just want them to kind of block that bottom off just a little bit. And just like that, I think that covers it pretty nicely without covering the rock work too much. It looks pretty decent. I'll be honest, I was expecting this mountain range to take a lot longer than it did. I mean, like, I don't know what else I could really add to this. It's looking pretty finished. Okay, so with that done, the next thing I think I need to do, it's going to be painful because it's going to take so long, is the fences for the whole land. Oh, so I'm going to get started with that, get it done and over with, and then we can continue with the rest of the land. We can add in maybe a little food shop. We could add in more decorations, maybe like a little balloon stand. I saw there was a comment, so let's do that. So it has been a bit of time now, and I have since finished these fences here. And while doing this, I was just thinking about the land and the actual main attraction itself, and I realized that the actual building, it didn't really fit the theme well. It was just kind of random, and it made no sense. So I decided to change it off screen, and I made some other small changes around the land. So let me quickly show you what I've done. So yeah, it's a bit of a big change. As you can see, I completely got rid of the entrance, which used to be right there, but
I just extended the mountain range up in front of it just because I think that just makes more sense for the land itself. I also added a bit of water, and I changed the entrance of the ride just to the end here, and it goes all the way back through here to there. Another thing I did was fix up the balloons on the house here. Before it looked like this, and now it looks like this. And when I tell you it took so long to do the balloons on the new house, like it was honestly ridiculous. It was insane. Okay, now that we have made these changes that I think we needed to do, I think we can finally start on the queue of the ride, or well, remaking the queue. So of course the new entrance to the ride is right here out the back, and the idea of this area back here is that I want it to all be inside a cave because I think that'd be really cool. Now the inspiration I'm going for this is just kind of like the Flight of Passage queue in a way, like very cavey. I don't know, I just think it'll be cool. So first of all, we do just need to make the entrance to the queue here. I'm just gonna do that by placing some of the rocks just on the sides here. Look at that, perfect, you walk in right there. One thing I think that would look pretty cool is if we just turn one of these rocks over to the side like this. Alrighty, we got a simple little entrance. It looks pretty nice. That means we can now just work on the inside of the queue. And I think the first thing I want to do is work on this little area because I think this is going to look really cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is quickly just make some walls on the outside here. Just like that. It looks very basic and, well, not good, but trust me, you just gotta trust the process. Of course, make these rock as well just to make it look nicer. And I think at this point in the queue, I also want the floor to be rock. But of course, we're gonna make it a bit of a darker color. Okay, so it's looking pretty nice. Before I do anything, I'm just gonna quickly do the basic fence outline here because we just need it to be an actual queue, of course. And for this queue, we're gonna just do a very basic little fence design here. One that just keeps with the theme of these cool looking rocks. And now that we got the basic fence done, I'm just gonna grab this and copy it around. Alright, now we've got this very basic looking queue. It works. I mean, there's not much else to do about it, except for one thing, it just looks really boring. So let's spice things up a little bit. And then as we start to get closer to the top, we're gonna have it just get very wide. And just like that, I think that adds a cool little aspect into it. And not only do we just have one here, but we can copy this and then we can move it around and also just change the height and rotation just to make it more random. And of course here we just need to fix this up since there's gonna be no fence here. We just want to make a cool little effect, I guess you could call it. We of course want the color of these bricks here to be that same color. I think we need just to make these wider here. We're just gonna add some random little rocks here. I think will look nice, just something like that. Now we don't want this being too flat. We want it to be nice and random, of course. And I think just like that, it just makes it look a little better. Okay, now that we've got that done, the actual wall on the edge here just looks really boring. So we're gonna want to try and fix that. And it's gonna be pretty basic fix, but you know, it's gonna work well. Pretty much just gonna add a bunch of just like random little pillars like this. We can even add in some smaller ones, and then we're gonna just make this all the same color. So already it's just turned this flat wall into something that looks a lot better. And then with that, we can just grab all of it and then copy it and place it around on the other walls. Now already this is looking pretty sweet. The final thing we need to do is just add some light. So we're gonna quickly just make like a little lamp. And we can now just start to place this around just to add some nice light to the place. And as you can see, it is very dark in here. So what we're gonna do is just get these lights just up the range a whole bunch. Now we still want it to be like somewhat dark because we want to add want it to be a bit of a mood in here. And also just by keeping it dark, it makes it look extra detailed and nice. Well, now that we've got that done, I think we can close this wall off and then we can call this part of the queue done. There we go. Oof. I think this looks honestly really nice. It's very simple, very basic, but hey, it's all we need. Okay, so now that we've got this part of the queue done, we just need to quickly finish off this bit, which it's gonna be very basic. So I'm not gonna do that on screen. So I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, it has been a bit of time and I have finished the entrance and the exit now. So let me just show you what I've done. So we have the main entrance here, which we go in, and it's just a nice little cave tunnel with some cool little lights, which then takes us to the main like area of the cube. After this, it goes into this sort of like I don't even know what you'd call this, like industrial area, and this is where the main ride is. And then through the exit here, it's just more of that sort of like cave tunnel effect, which takes you back out to the land. Amazing. And with that done, I think that's gonna be enough for this video. I was planning on trying to finish the whole land, but like there's so much more I need to do. Like for example, in the next video, I need to do the ride signs for each ride. I also need to figure out some sort of cool sign I could put like maybe here or even above the entrance there. I also just need to finish like decorating. There's like a whole bunch of new trees and stuff that I need to add into the land, and just a whole bunch of small things. Oh, also I want to add one of the characters from the movie. I think it would look really cool. So I'm gonna do that in the next episode when we finish off the land. Well, so with that said, this episode has finished. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, remember to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next episode of Pixar's Adventure Park.